Welcome to my weekly self-important Magic the Gathering show. I'm running out of things to talk about that are old. I'm going to have to start slowing down. Uh, here's what we're doing today. Okay, we can probably do four. Like a lot of those previous episodes where I was just blasting through like a whole bunch of decks and my like thumbnails were super cluttered. I shouldn't do that anymore. Uh, and these are all pre-built decks. So I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to look at them, and it's been a while since I've touched these. I don't know if this should say somewhere where the last time I edited it. Oh, updated. August of last year, so quite a few sets came out. There we go. I knew it was somewhere. Menoptra Swarm. Just doing my usual thing where I get the links I will need for later. Links and card names. Vrestin, Menoptra Leader. So it is a legendary alien insect scout for X green green white. Whoops. Flying. Vrestin enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Okay. When Vrestin enters the battlefield, create X 1/1 green and white alien insect creature tokens with flying. Whenever you attack with one or more insects, put a +1/+1 counter on each of them. Okay. So obviously I wanted to do insect typal. So, so we got the Mirror Entity, who is a shapeshifter with Changeling, which means they are an alien insect scout and everything else. And then we can pay X, and until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX until and gain all creature types. So that's cool because, you know, we just increase all of our base power. I like that. Oh, right. This set will have come out. Had come out. So what sets... August of last year, what sets were... So I guess the first... So maybe Spider-Man hadn't come out yet. No, was Spider-Man before? We're going to look this up. I just want to see what sets... had come out afterwards, because this year was TMNT and the new Strixhaven and Lorwyn, and last year it is Avatar: The Last Airbender and maybe Spider-Man. Okay, so Spider-Man, which would have spiders and not insects. Avatar, I don't think had any insects. I don't... I think I just put a 6 here. Ravnica Remastered. That all says 2024. That is... stuff stuck in my teeth. Lorwyn Eclipsed. I don't think that had any insects. Turtles had insects, but I don't think they were in green or white. Secrets of Strixhaven. That's what's currently out. Okay, so Roaming Throne to double our insect triggers, which I think I know what else is going to be in here. In fact, if there's a certain thing in here that's not in here, then I have failed. In fact, I'm going to look for it very quick. Iridescent Horn Beetle, there we go. So for counters, we have the Adamantium Bonding Tag, which is the Ozolith. That's the thing that holds on to +1/+1 counters for it. The Soul Cauldron, okay. That gives all of our creatures the activate with +1/+1 counter on them, the activated abilities of all creatures exiled with the Soul Cauldron. However much that'll happen, it doesn't matter, but it's neat. Dust Shell Crawler, what do you do? This is one of the cheaper. All of our things with +1/+1 counters have Trample, because it only costs 2. We don't need too many of those. Unblockable Ferropede. And when he deals damage to a player, combat damage to a player, you may remove a counter from a permanent. That's mildly interesting. Also, I'd put that into evasion if that had a thing. Sigarda's Summons. She's summoning the insects, I guess. Summon Swarm. Creatures controlled with +1/+1 counters have base power and toughness 4/4. Have flying and are angels in addition to their other types. I already see further down something I'm probably going to get rid of. And another thing I might get rid of, it depends on what it is after I read it. Because the Springheart Nantuko, the one that copies stuff or gives you an insect on landfall, we're just going to get rid of that. I don't know what's going to replace it. But we're skipping it. Skull Clamp. To turn any of our 1/1 insects that we haven't put +1/+1 counters on it into cards. Diodrine Synthesis Amalgam. This is not an insect, but it enters with a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, which is great because it and it's a 0/1. And since it's X, white, green, you get all of that, not just the X. Whenever you attack, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from each of up to 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card, and you get a 2/2 robot. You get a 2/2 robot. That's cool. They're not insects, but it's card draw. Phineas H. Archer. Oh, that's a token or a rabbit. Okay, whenever Phineas H. Archer attacks, put a counter on each other creature you control. And he's only a 2/2, so he's not that great. So, see, we definitely want to protect him somehow by making him indestructible, maybe. Oh, and I've been struggling the last couple of days with an itchy back because of bug bites. Which is unpleasant. Oh, and then if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, you get to draw a card. Cool. But yeah, we got to protect them. Folk Hero, commander creatures you have, whenever you cast a spell that shares a creature type with this creature, draw a card once a turn. Okay. It costs 2, so it's 2 to potentially draw 1 extra card a turn. I'd have to see how many insects I had. So let's go by type. This is one place that the other deck builder Moxfield has an advantage. Unless yeah, no, because it doesn't have a section for creature type, just for type or for subtype. So Haywire Mite is an insect, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That counts. 6. We'll read what these do later. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's interesting. 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, there's only 14 insects in here, so we're going to dump Folk Hero. There were 15, and that still probably wasn't enough. Go back to categories. Let's see. Cutzil, Malamet Exemplar. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So we have a Grand Abolisher with upside. And additional power toughness because of the mana cost. Whenever one or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Sweet. Melstrider Eulogist. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, draw a card. Helpful. Tear Symbiosis. Whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, draw that many cards once a turn. Cool. You know what's not in here that I just seen? I don't think we need Solemn Simulacrum in this deck, if I'm being honest. The Ouroboros. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature control, where X is this creature's power. I mean, if we're going to do +1/+1 counter nonsense, we might as well have this plant worm help us out. Oh, and MV equals to LESSON. Shared roots for rampant growth number 2. Dumping the Mind Stone. Hammer of Justice mana curve. Mostly green stuff, but that's fine. Thought Vessel. No, you know what? Let's not be afraid of discarding cards in this specific deck. Anyway, Tribute to the World Tree. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card if it's power 3 or greater, otherwise put 2+1 counters on it. Cool with that? Lenore. It's probably just Lenore. Autumn Sovereign. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1 counter up to one target creature you control. Then, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, draw a card. I don't know how possible that is in this deck, but we will try. Halia, Ascended Cadet. Whenever Halia enters attacks, put a +1 counter on target creature control. Whenever one or more creatures you control with +1 counters on them, deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. How many card draw cards do we have? 10. And then this is the Great Henge. This spell costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Tap for 2 green, gain 2 life. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1 counter on it and draw a card. Keeping non-token. And we need to put 3 cards into this deck for the record. Crash of Rhino Beetles. It put itself in finisher, but I guess if it's a 15/15, it can probably finish someone off. It has trample. Crash of Rhino Beetles gets +10/+10 as long as you control 10 or more lands. And then we have Graz, Unstoppable Juggernaut. Juggernauts you control attack each turn of combat a Fable. Juggernauts you control can't be blocked by walls. Other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3 and are Juggernauts in addition to their other types. That is just kind of an amuses me card. That's why it's in here. Then we have our 37 lands, and then we have 4 pieces of Mass Disruption. We have some usual suspects here. We have the Pest Infestation, which gives us pests, and also destroys artifacts and enchantments. Heliod's Intervention destroys artifacts and enchantments, or we can gain life. Settle the Wreckage, which ramps an attacker, basically, but removes all of their attackers from the game. Everything Comes to Dust. It has Convoke. It's 7 and 3 white. Exile all creatures except those that share a creature type with a creature that convoked this spell. All artifacts and all enchantments. That's the kind of Mass Disruption that you play when you plan on winning. Like, that's not regular Mass Disruption. That's like, okay, I'm going to win. Because we would end up getting rid of Sigarda's Summons and the Bonding Tank and the Great Henge and Terra Symbiosis and all that. Depending on what was in play, of course. Giant Ankheg. It is an insect. I really pulled when I built this deck all those months ago. I was really pulling deep just to have actual insects in the deck. So we get an 8-mana 8/8 with Trample, Ward 2, and other creatures you control have Trample and Ward 2. That's neat. Our ramp section is basic if you've seen these colors. Sol Ring, Arc Sig, Farseek, Into the North, Nature's Lore, Rampant Growth, Sakura Tribe Elder, which is Rampant Growth, but it's a creature you have to sacrifice. Selesnya Signet, Shared Roots. You saw me put that in a second ago. Talisman of Unity, and 3 visits. Then we have Recursion. Mothra, Supersonic Queen. This is actually something Broodmoth. Oh, Luminous. I could have just... I was trying to read the card instead of the info box. Flying. Whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. I guess, yeah, like a lot of my bugs don't naturally have flying. So that's good. Springleaf Avenger. It's an insect ninja. When it deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so that's every turn, as long as it's dealing combat damage to a player. And it's a 6/5 for 5, and it has ninjutsu, so you can return to your hand something that was unblocked to do that. Okay, so that's cool. And then we're doing tokens before removal just because of how the deck organized it, and still 3, just making sure. Ant Queen. It's a 5/5 for 5 that we can pay 2 just to make a 1/1 insect. Not a great card, but if we're sitting on extra mana, we can at least make some insect tokens. Iridescent Hornbeetle. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each 1/1 counter you've put on creatures under your control this turn. March of the World Ooze. Creatures you control have base and power toughness 6/6. This is going to be one of those things where timestamps matter, because I think it's whatever entered the newest is the one that counts. When we have like several things that change base power and toughness, like March of the World Ooze comes out, our stuff is base 6/6. If Graz comes out later, they're 5/3s. But, you know, other way around if the other way around happens. But if we activate the ability of that, what was it, Mirror Entity way at the top, then it's whatever he was, because that was the newest thing. I think that's how it works. I would love someone who knows better to say something in the comments. I'm one of those people who I say what I think is correct, but when someone actually has the real info, I don't get butthurt. I'm like, oh, thank you for being someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So, yes, I will appreciate people correcting me. Creatures you control have base power and toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it's not their turn, you get a 3/3 green elephant creature token. I just love this card. Like, Aether Drift wasn't a popular set, but it had a lot of... Well, I guess maybe not a lot, but, like, its bangers were pretty cool. Like, I mean, I know this is a 6 mana do nothing. Well, it's a 6 mana makes everything a base 6/6. But, which may or may not matter. But, because it's an elephant ooze as long as March of the World Ooze is in play. I love this card. It's, 1 dozen eyes. Oh, it's a sorcery. For 6 mana, we can put a 5/5 green beast creature token into play, or 5 1/1 green insect creature tokens into play. Or we could pay 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to get both. But yeah, no, I really went out there to go, yeah, no, I'm grabbing insects. Anything that looks halfway decent. Whenever Giant Adaphage deals combat damage to a player, put a token into play onto the battlefield. That's a copy of Giant Adaphage. Okay, and it's a 7/7 for 7 with Trample. Oh, the Trample really sells it. 99 cents. One dozen eyes is 35 cents. Like, you can get just fun, stupid cards for your dumb, stupid decks. This, it says Specimen 73, but it's actually the Hornet Queen. For 7 mana, we get a 2/2 Flying Death Touch. That when it enters, we get another 4/1/1 Flying Death Touchers. So that's cool. And then the Living Hive. 8 mana for a 6/6 trample. When Living Hive deals combat damage to a player, you get that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens. So that's cool. I mean, the mana that we spend on a lot of these just feels not 100% worth it. But we're in green. Hopefully we've drawn several of these 11 cards over here. And that's probably why I had so much ramp. But I took out the non-colored ramp. Let's see, on our removal, we put Berserk, because at the time I was really, really, really into Berserk as a removal piece. Because you either attack with something and remove a player, or someone else attacks with something, because it, let's just go over it really quick. Because it is an instant. Cast the spell only before the combat damage step. So this is after after blockers have been declared, but before damage happens. Target creature gains trample and plus X+0 until end of turn, where X is its power. At the beginning of the next end step, destroy that creature if it attacked this turn. So yeah, it destroys a creature as long as it's not indestructible. Haywire Might, just a simple little 1/1 for 1 that you can, that when it comes into play you gain 2 life, but you can also pay green and sacrifice it to exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So, search for the Frozen Esper, that's the destroy artifact or enchantment for 1 mana, but its controller gains 4 life. Path to Exile, Sword to Plowshares, Unwanted Remake, Bovine Intervention, Collective Resistance, that's the one that can destroy artifact, enchantment, or target creature gains exclusion indestructible until end of turn for 1 and a green, but you can pay an additional green for to add. You can pay green to add 1 or another green after that to get all 3. So for 4 mana, you can destroy an artifact, enchantment, and give a creature hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Fateful Ascent, Spartan Gust, Beast Within, Generous Gift, Memories of Nibelheim. Actually, I kind of know what cards I want to put in here really quick. Because there's Emergency Exit and Erase. But what does Rust Scarab do? For 5 mana, whenever Rust Scarab becomes blocked, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment creature controls. Ah. It's conditional removal, but it's like, do you want to block this thing? What do you value more? Your life total or something you have on your field? I do like the Rust Scarab. Let's see, what do we have? 14. Actually, I'm going to remove Fateful Absence and Bovine Intervention. Collective Resistance gets to stay because of the Escalate. Because my thing is that I'd hold on to 4 mana and do all 3. Anyway, I think it's the newest one is called Erase. Nope. Hold on. It's MV equals 1 set Seekers of Strixhaven. Erode. And then emergency exit. It's funny that we're still at 97. I'll grab you, put you down in removal. Okay, and then we go up here. We go by type. We have 24 creatures. I do kind of want, like, we have a bunch of things that create tokens, but I do kind of still want more creatures. We're going to go over here, and I'm just incredibly curious. Scoot Swarm, we're not doing that. That's kind of why I took out the other thing, because I decided in that moment that I didn't care about landfall. Hornet Nest, whenever this creature is dealt damage, you create that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch. The thing is that it's only an O2, so unless we make it indestructible, it's not going to create us a whole lot of insects. Scoot Mob, don't care. Broodhatch Nantuko. That's another one. Whenever it's dealt damage, you get that many insects. Caustic Caterpillar is a worse Haymire Mite, in my opinion. Let's see. Kami of Whispered Hopes. Okay, so this that and the next one are +1/+1 counter increasers, which I think I left out of the deck. Yeah, I didn't do any of that. I see Mondrak down there. We're not doing token doublers either. Xantid Swarm. Whenever Xantid Swarm attacks, defending player can't cast spells that in turn. That's mildly interesting, but I don't think so. Oh, okay. I'm glad this a 40k card popped up, because I might have said it in a previous episode, but I want to say it again. I'm never going to talk about the 40k decks as decks to mess with for my show, because I think they're perfect. Not like good perfect, but like encapsulated perfect. My favorite one is the Necron one, because it's mono black. And I kind of like the Tyranids. I don't like the other two that much. I'm mad that Orcs didn't get a deck. Orcs with a K. I would love a second go at it where Orcs and like Tau and maybe Eldar and Dark Eldar got decks. But, man, if I'd been buying Magic product at the time, I would have bought that and just would have left them alone and just played them as is. Because that's why I think they're perfect. Because they're Universes Beyond products that don't need to mix with the rest of Magic. Let's see. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to play for each creature control with a +1/+1 counter on it. That could be good. We'll put that in, because that is some removal bait and ramp, but it could also cost as little as 2. Saber Ants, when they deal damage. nope, that's another is dealt damage. When this deals damage to a combat damage to a player, you can destroy an artifact they control. I like, well, one, this thing's very small for how much you're paying for it, even though it has flying. Caustic Wasps. But I like the more expensive one. Phantom Nantuko. Enters battlefield with 2+1 counters on it. Creatures you control have Death Touch. Creatures you control are Mana Dorks. An insect that is an interesting Mana Dork, but no. Armorcraft Drudge draws us cards once. Absence Pilgrim is a green creature that taps for white. Broodguard Elite. It's a thing that when it leaves the battlefield, its +1/+1 counters go into another creature. Craterhoof, understand, not doing it. Lands you control enter untapped. If and then whenever you attack a player, you get a lander token. Actually, you know what? Let's go with this guy. So that's 2, right? Yeah. And this one's an insect. I kind of like this guy. Because this guy's more pieces of ramp. Modified creatures have trample, and also when modified creature deals combat damage to a player, you get to search your library for a basic land. This guy has to attack. That's why he didn't make it into the deck on the first pass. This gives another attacking creature Death Touch. Whenever this blocks, we gain 4 life, or may. I like how it says may on some, because they're like, they know that turns life gain into life loss card exists. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, create a lander token. The other one was better. Okay, something up here. Yeah. Although, do I really want it? You know what? Do I really want that? Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad it... There's the studious first year Bear Wizard. The one that comes into play with Rampant Growth as a sorcery. So, it's basically 3 mana for a garbage 1/1 because it's a Bear Wizard. Because I think when it comes into play, you do get a chance to cast the sorcery. Because I actually do kind of want to... I actually want the studious first year. Because I just had an idea. That put us at 100, but... he's a creature. You go down in ramp because that's where I'm going in anyway. Because what I want... How many pieces of ramp do I have now? Is this hit? 14? I want to take out... And even the Soul Ring. So now, I only have land-based ramp. And, okay, so I only have 9 pieces of ramp because the 10th piece of ramp is that silly guy. But that also means I get to talk about this specific deck more, which is good. Like I said, I need to slow down. And we're back down to 96. Categories. Nope. Type. Oh, we're at 27 creatures, though, so I do not need more creatures. So let's go back over here. Because I do think it helped. Yeah, I guess I also kind of want to be a quasi-EDH rec advocate, even though they do not need my advocacy. Because I want to point out that you don't need... Like, because there's a middle ground. You don't have to completely ignore EDH rec, and you don't, like, use it to build your deck for you. It is just a starting point. Hydrating, sorry. And you can use it to get ideas or remind you that cards exist. Like, because if you look at my deck is not an EDH rec deck. I didn't have all of the things recommended in the deck. Let's look at enchantments. Hardened Scales, Doubling Season, Branching Evolution, Gathar's Crusade. We're ignoring all of that. Mirari's Wake? No. No Anointed Procession, no Parallel Lives. No Springheart, no Felidar. Giving all of our creature tokens +1/+1 in Vigilance, that's interesting, but I don't think that's necessary. Aura Shards, there's a reason why that's a game changer. Oh, Darksteel Mutation for another kind of removal. We're good on removal, though. Beastmaster Ascension... Nah. Enduring Vitality to turn our creatures into mana dorks? No Primal Vigor. Springleaf Parade. That's what that says? When this enchantment enters, create X/1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature tokens with Changeling. Creature tokens you control are Uber Mana Dorks. Okay. No, but I see where they're coming from. This is it Builders? There's a different talent that I want to look up, but I'm going to go to Artifacts really quick, even though it's going to have a lot of mana rocks. Oh, there's that other there's that, I think it's a Survivor that holds on to counters as well. I do like going to the Planeswalker thing because it is funny when there's like nothing there. Oh, Darning Verdict. Destroy all creatures with no counters on them. Let's just remember that exists. See? Someone watching was thinking about this and going, I wonder why that's not in the deck. Sorry that I discovered it before I could post this video and read your comment. That would have helped me, but you know, thank you for thinking it. we are going to go back over here. Talent. We get a wall. Whenever more non-creature, non-land permanents you control enter. I could have swore there was a talent that cared about tokens. Whenever you create one or more tokens, draw a card once a turn. Okay. Also, that does remind me of, like, oh, you know what it was? Why I didn't put those things in? The ones that cared about the creation of tokens, because I realized I wasn't going to be creating them once a turn. Like that was like unless I somehow get iridescent horn beetle in all the time, that wasn't happening. But that put us up to 5 mass disruption at least. Oops. R. There we go. Reluctant role model. Survival. This part isn't relevant. At the beginning of your second main phase, if it's tapped, it gets a flying lifelink or plus one counter on it. Whenever a reluctant role model or another creature control dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on up to one target creature. There we go. That goes in this deck. So obviously we're not strict insect tribal, but I did want to have a lot of insects in here. Oh, she's a survivor. But she doesn't have the survivor ability. Whenever a token enters, you may have target player other than its controller create a token that's a copy of it. Then you draw a card if an opponent created a token this way once a turn. Mildly interesting. I'm not creating enough tokens for all of this stuff that cares about tokens that were generated that turn. But okay, now we just need 2 more. I'm sorry, this thing starts with -1/-1 power. Ah, it has Sunburst. So it comes in as a 4/4 for 5. That's mildly funny. Oh wow, killer bees. I'm sorry, I'm old. So, seeing that art, and considering it's in green, like, this was an amazingly impressive card. Back when creatures were a lot worse. You're paying 3 mana for a 0/1 with flying. However, you're in green, and you can pay 1 green to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. That's awful, but summon bees. Like, that kind of blast from the past is just makes me happy. Oh, hey, look. They have this Time Spiral Unyaro Bees, which is the same mana value, but it's all green. It is a 0/1. It has the same ability, but power creep. You can pay 3 and a green to sacrifice it to deal 2 damage to target creature or player, which I think is any target now. Just wow. Yamavaya Gnats. They regenerate. I was meaning to go up to the like super high power ones to see if I can throw any more haymakers in the deck that were insects, but I got distracted. Flying Swamp Walk for 2. All things considered, that isn't bad bang for the buck, considering the era of Tempest. Wow. A couple of sets later, in the Urza block, 4 mana for a 1/2 with flying that has Shroud. Good lord, I gotta blow my nose. Let's see, Gene Pollinator. Emerald Dragonfly can give itself first strike until end of turn. Iron Shell Beetle, when it enters the battlefield, it puts a +1/+1 counter on something else. Joyra's Time Bug, Joyra's Toolbox. Okay, 4th page. Just scrolling down to the bottom. Yep, okay. A lot of the things in here are already in this deck. So we're going to look at everything. Quarry Beetle, 5 for a 4/5. When it enters the battlefield, you may target land card from the graveyard to the battlefield. That ain't going to matter. Symbiotic Beast, when it dies, you get 4 1/1s. Not really good enough. Thawbringer, when it enters their dies, surveil 1. Ambush Krotik, Trample, 5/5 for 6. When it enters, untap another creature you control. No, return another creature you control to its owner's hand. No. Colossopede, 5/5 for 5, vanilla. Dreadbridge Goliath. I just thought I'd say now that I love beetles. Beetles are awesome. My favorite Digimon is, well, I mean, besides all the thirst traps, is Hercules, Kabuterimon, and that entire line, starting from Tentamon. And you know what? And some of the other bugs too. Scavenge. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to this card's power on target creature as a sorcery. Huh. Neat. Nantucket Tuco Primus. Target creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. That's mildly interesting, but he got 7. Vorapede. Vigilance Trample, Undying, Yavimaya Ants, a cumulative upkeep for a 5/1 trample. 6/1 Shroud. 6/1 Shroud again. But at the beginning of your upkeep, if it's in your graveyard, you can discard a card to put this back into your hand. Boy, a lot of that would be a lot better if these things had, I don't know, haste. And at least this one has trample. Segmented Crotic. It's Megamorph. Then 3 things in a row that are in the deck. Mold Graph Monstrosity. Trample. When it dies, exile. Then return 2 target creature cards at random from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's interesting. And the Thrice Called is something that doesn't really work in Commander. Oh wait, no, I was thinking of the spell that calls it, and I don't care about it. Well, it really drops off fast. The 4th page had some heavy hitters, but at the top of the 3rd page, it's 2/2s. Okay, Null Mage Advocate is mildly interesting. Return 2 target cards from an opponent's graveyard to his or her hand, destroy target artifact or enchantment. That is mildly interesting. Especially if they're a Reanimator deck, now that I think about it. It's like, no. You're not getting those in your discard pile. Those go back in your hand, and also forget that thing. Arthropede destroys rooms specifically from Duskmourn. Thornscape Familiar makes our red not applicable, but white spells 1 less to play. Mildly interesting. Let's go straight to the bottom and see what the biggest things are. 4/4. Phyrexian Swarmlord. It has Infect. And it cares about poison counters. It would be cool if there was a non-poison counter Swarmlord. That has landfall, so I don't care. Lattice Blade Mantis enters the battlefield with oil counters. That is some draft stuff going on in there. A thing that with Defender that can give itself not Defender. Oh hey, Crotix are back. Because those other ones were, hold on, those other ones were older cards, weren't they? Yeah, that's Dragons of Tarkir. And then the other one was up here. FRF, what is that? Fate Reforged. That is in the Tarkir, the original Tarkir block, if I'm not mistaken. So that's mildly interesting that they brought Crotic back. Oh wait, no, that's duh. I thought that was the space set, but no, that's the Dragonstorm set. So cool. They remembered their creature types, or creature name, creature factions, whatever. Giant Ladybug. I haven't read what it says yet, but I kind of really hope that it's cool. When Giant Ladybug enters the battlefield, you may search your library for basic land target. I'll put it on top. Boo. This thing can destroy an artifact or enchantment with mana value X. But but that doesn't seem worth it. Vexing Beetle. Vexing Beetle can't be countered, and it's a 6/6 as long as no opponent controls a creature. That doesn't... blocks a creature with flying. Shroud. Morph. If you control no tap lands, draw a card. We can pay 4 mana for a 3/3 that lets us pay 1 mana for a 1/1 with flying. I think I'll pass. I do kind of like the Null Mage Advocate, but I'm not putting it in here. Oh, the signature timed out. Can I do this? Page 2. Oh, here's a classic. Tap, sacrifice a creature, turn a target land into a basic force until the end of the game. Let's go to the rules. Does it... Will not add or remove the super type snow to or from a land. So I think it, and it doesn't say in addition to whatever else it was. I don't know if, I guess it also means it loses any abilities it had. Like, the level of deck that this is, that is probably an unnecessary ability. But it also costs 4, so... But that is a cool card. Because, like, the kinds of lands that you'd want to stop, I don't think are in the brackets where you would also want to pay 4 mana for a 1/2 that you have to wait a turn to stop lands. Venomous Dragonfly is not quite Death Touch. Echo is bad. This is that play extra lands, mill cards, play lands from your graveyard. Yeah, not me. If we set up this deck differently, this Nantuko Cultivator would be interesting. 4 mana for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard any number of land cards. Put that many +1/+1 counters on the Cultivator, and draw that many cards. That is neat, but not something I want to do. I honestly don't think there was anything... Yep, there was nothing else in the insect section. And we still have 2 spots left. And I don't need creatures anyway, so I don't even know why I was looking. Though it is fun to have more creatures. Sorry, I am kind of messing with how I'm sitting. I added a new cushion to the pile. And by new, I mean it was laying somewhere else. And I was like, oh, my pile is getting flat. So let's put another one on top. For the last 2 cards, let's search for stuff that's a creature type. Okay, so we are looking through these. We don't need anything that like affects their casting cost. Kindred Summons. Choose a creature type. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, where X is the number of creatures you control of that type. Put those cards on the battlefield and then shuffle the rest of the revealed cards into your library. You know what? This costs 7, but once again we're in green. And this would let us get our... Because we do have a non-zero number of insects. But this would let us get many of them into the battlefield at once. Because while it costs 7, hopefully we'll be doing it sooner. And again, we are kind of strict bracket 2, I think. There's no way we're in bracket 3. Sorry about the sniffing noises. I was thinking about Metallic Mimic, but that's probably not a great idea. The Path of Ancestry just to scry off of casting our commander is always kind of funny to me. I even put three trees sitting in the deck. That's mildly interesting. Tribal Unity. Creature of the type of your choice get +X/+X till end of turn. Okay, well that's the end of that. Oh, they're calling Kindred Summons card draw. That's funny. There's another piece of Mass Disruption that I normally put in this deck. Dang it, nose. But it's Nylea's Intervention, which goozles flying creatures. I'm opening up a soft baked breakfast bar, even though I should be talking a lot, but I'm mildly hungry. As long as you can't hear me chew, it's all right. Bow of Nylea, 3 mana for a legendary enchantment artifact. Attacking creatures in control of Death Touch. That's why it's in the deck. 1 and green tap, choose one. Put a +1/+1 encounter on a creature. Or Bow of Nylea deals 2 damage to target creature with flying. Or you gain 3 life. Or put up to 4 target cards from your graveyard to the bottom of your library in any order. There we go. Another Selesnya +1/+1 counters deck. This one with a twist. The twist mean we didn't put anything that increases the amount of counters that we put on anything. And then we put a bunch of questionably useful insect creatures in here. And other stuff. Move this to the parent folder really quick to show that I've talked about it. And I'm going to press this button again. And we're going to skip these two for now and go straight to the Boros deck. So, Anomalous Exploration. Jenny, the Generated Anomaly. The cool thing about the Doctor Who Commander decks, in my opinion, are all of the like side characters getting getting cards. So Jenny generated Anomaly, double strike. It's 4 mana for a 2/3 Time Lord Soldier. Excuse me. Whenever Jenny deals combat damage to a player, she explores. Excuse me. She is not an it. So that's why it's anomalous exploration. And will this tell us what explore means? Reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, Jenny gets a +1/+1 counter. And then that card can either go back on top of your deck or into your graveyard if you prefer it there. No cards disappeared from this deck since the last time I messed with it, which again was in August of last year. This one has a higher chance of getting new cards and not just changing out old cards for different old cards. Then we have a piece of burn. Kedis, Emberclaw Familiar. Whenever a commander you control deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent, which that other damage to the other opponents is not combat damage. But it's just so you can spread out all your damage. Then we have Delina Wild Mage. Whenever she attacks, choose target creature you control, then roll a d20. 1 to 14, you get a tapped attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and that you exile at the end of combat. And then 15 to 20, you do the above, but then you also get to roll again. And then we have 3 cards that care about +1/+1 counters. We have the Ozolith again to hold on to counters, because Ginny theoretically will get counters on her. Agatha's Soul Cauldron to get the activated abilities of creatures that we exile with the Cauldron. And the Abzan Falconer, which says, Outlast, which doesn't matter because it's a sorcery speed effect, and that it makes it incredibly dumb and useless. But each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has flying. We didn't put that in the other deck because a lot of our insects already flew. Now, over here, we have Ristic Buddy, the Esper Sentinel. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, we draw a card unless they pay X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. Starts as a 1/1 for 1. Tome of Legends, when this artifact enters, it enters with a page counter. Whenever our commander enters our attacks, we put another page counter on this, and then we can pay 1 and tap to remove a page counter to draw a card. Angelic Sleuth, whenever another permanent you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, investigate. Thorough Investigation, whenever you attack, investigate. Investigating makes a clue token. A clue token is a token that says pay 2 generic, sacrifice the token, draw a card. Wojak Investigator. Can I get some Wojak version of this card? I don't know what you would do for it, but it would be the 2 guys pointing into the background. Flying Vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate once for each opponent who has more cards in their hand than you. Okay, cool. Actually, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Investigate versus just giving white better card draw, but, whatever. Green should Investigate. They can afford it. Merchant of Truth. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. Clues you control have Exalted, which is very interesting. So I, basically put a bunch of clue nonsense in here because I could. Whenever a creature you control or a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, investigate. Okay. So yeah, we have like 4 cards that care about investigation over here. 5 cards that care about investigation. Then in our evasion section, we have Brotherhood Regalia, Prowler's Hymn, and Whisper Silk Cloak. 2 of those give unblockable, and 1 of them says can't be blocked except by walls. And then Brotherhood Regalia gives Ward 2, and also really cheap to equip on a legendary creature. Also makes them an assassin. And then Whisper Silk Cloak gives them Shroud. Which means neither you nor your opponents can target them with spells or abilities. Let's see, Explorer Core. I guess this is other things that explore, just because, you know, I wanted to do some mild bracket 1 behavior, I guess, by going like a silly exploration theme along with my exploration and investigation. I'll give myself that was mildly clever. When Miner's Guidewing dies, target creature you control explores. Okay, Flying Vigilance 1/1. Whenever Astrid Peth enters the battlefield or attacks, create a food token. Whenever you sacrifice a clue or food, she explores. Whenever a creature you control explores, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. And it has a crew of 2. When Emissary of Sunrise enters the battlefield, it explores. Okay. That's kind of a garbage card that maybe we should, you know what, we're going to come back to this after we exit out of this screen. And we're just going to take that, like that. I think we might take the Explorer Corp out because, and maybe make this deck better than that. The Dawn Runner, it enters, it explores, it has double strike. It enters, it explores, it has haste. When Seasoned Dungeoneer enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. Oh-ho. Whenever you attack, targeting attacking cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard gains protection from creatures until end of turn. It explores. That includes itself. This introduces the initiative, which is cool if you like the initiative. This one might get to stay. Enters, it explores. Is this a modified modifies? No, this is finisher. Whenever one or more modified creatures you attack, untap all modified creatures you control. After this combat step, there's an additional combat phase once a turn. Okay. Enters, it explores. Enters, it explores. Enters, it explores. Enters, it explores. I think we'll keep this stupid boat. We now have 5 empty spots. I was checking for a specific thing, but I'm gonna go put that here. Just call this section modified. And then we have the Shadow Spear, but it's the Laura Croft version. Equip creature gets +1/+1 trample and lifelink, and also we can remove Hexproof and indestructible from our opponent's stuff. There's like a creature that can do that, but I forget what colors it's in. And it's slightly different. And that's an interesting thing that went into this deck. We'll get to it when we get to it. You may play equip abilities anytime you could play an instant. That's always good, of course. Lightning Greaves, and the Boots, and Mithril Coat, and the Hammer of Nazahan. How many pieces of equipment are in this deck, for the record? Spear, Blackblade, we'll just explain that here. +1/+1 for each land you control. I guess it's because, like, we're not getting more land drops, but theoretically we are getting more lands on our... We're drawing cards to get lands into our hand. Yeah, you know what? We're dumping that. Because Exploration puts the card in our hand, not into the battlefield. That is a specific guy. Anyway, Brotherhood Regalia, we talked about that. Greaves, Helm, Boots, Coat, Reaver Cleaver, that makes treasures. Cloak, Nazahan, and Excalibur. We'll get to that in a second. The Regalia, when it attacks, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. That card goes into the battlefield tapped. The rest of the bottom of the library in random order. If this was the Commander, Blackblade Reforged would be a better card. Excalibur, Sword of Eden. X to cast, where X is the total mana value of historic permanence you control. That is legendary permanents, artifacts, and sagas. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and has vigilance. And equip legendary creature 2. I think that's okay. Let's actually stop counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 pieces of equipment. Only 16 creatures. I think I'm going to up the creature count, actually. Do you think that that is enough pieces of equipment for Sigarda's aid? That's the... that auto-equips equipment when it comes into play, and also lets you cast equipment at instant speed. There are 2 cards I am going to add. Erode, of course. And an emergency exit, because I'm willing to bet I didn't put it in here already. So let's go down to removal. We're jumping ahead. Making our mass disruption category. This is Delayed Blast Fireball. This is one where if you foretell it, it deals 5 damage to each opponent and each creature they control when you cast it. Otherwise, it's 2 damage. Shattering Spree. Vandal Blast. Mizium Mortars. Dump Chaos Warp. So I'm going to dump Bovine Intervention, Fateful Absence, and Parting Gust. Not Parting Gust, because that exiles. For Heliod's Intervention, an Unwanted Remake. I probably should put those 2 of those other pieces of removal that I removed back in. Oh, but we're dumping Solemn. I don't think we need that. As much as I like Solemn, go here, deck history, added removed cards. Put back Disenchant. Put back Faithful Absence. And put back in Bovine Intervention. There we go. Yeah, so now we have 10 pieces of regular removal and 6 pieces of Mass Disruption. Hammer of Nizan, if you don't remember, also lets you auto-equip stuff when it enters. Sigarda's Aid. Put itself into ramp, but I'm willing to bet that is a... Well, I guess it's technically ramp because it saves you on equip cost, but I'm going to put it over here in protection. And I'm also making it Captain America's Aid. Because this is a Universes Beyond Commander, and that's the kind of funny stuff I do. So you can cast or an equipment spells that add flash. Whenever equipment you control enters, you may attach it to target creature you control. Beedly Bangdly. Let's go to the ramp section. Because, yeah, the removal is like nothing surprising. So there's the Regalia that I mentioned. Reaver Cleaver, equip creature gets +1/+1 and has trample, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. We also have the Red Dragon that rolls a d20 to create that many treasure tokens when you've dealt damage to a player. Combat damage. When it's dealt combat damage to a player. The Regalia, we mentioned it. Professional Facebreaker. Whenever one or more creatures you control do combat damage to a player, create a treasure. But you can also sacrifice a treasure to impulsive draw the top card of your deck. So a little bit more reliable card draw than my other card draw, and cheaper, as long as you can cast it. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. That reminds me of other things I can put in here. Archaeomancer's map. This has a lot of text. When Archaeomancer map enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 basic plains cards, reveal them, put into your hand, and shuffle. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player controls more lands than you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So, our exploring commander can get more lands into our hand, so maybe we can play them on other people's turns. Well, it doesn't count as play because it's put, but you know what I mean. Get more lands into play. Okay, these 3 tutors. Steel Shaper's Gift is a sorcery. Search your library for an equipment card, reveal that card, put into your hand, then shuffle. There's Into the Armory, which costs 1 more because it's instant speed, but I didn't put it in here because this is the max number of tutors you can have before it counts against you for brackets. Cloud Midgar Mercenary. When it enters, you search your library for an equipment, put it in your hand. And then when he's equipped, he doubles your he doubles the triggers of equipment that is attached to him. Or if something else gave him abilities. And then Stoneforge Midget Stick also tutors for a piece of equipment. And we can cheat them out by paying 1 and a white instead of its casting cost. What's funny... Whoops. Okay, we have 11 pieces of removal. I forgot that that thing doesn't put itself in the removal section yet. The Reaver Cleaver is the only piece of equipment we have that has a triggered ability that Cloud would care about. You know, we can remove him as well because I don't think I actually have a whole lot of other things that qualify as a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard. She is specifically to interact with these. Like, she should be at the head of her own deck. I think I'm going to get rid of the Explorer Core, just entirely. I'm going to leave these in here because White just doesn't do a great job of drawing cards. But I thought of 2 more cards that I can put in here. Mangar the Diplomat. That's the guy that can draw us cards if our opponents attack us with 2 or more creatures or planeswalker we control. Or if they cast their second spell or draw their second card. No, just their second spell. And then there's Trouble in Pairs, which is the same thing, but it does a couple more things. see, we have 4 more. That Reluctant and Role Model can go in here again. I just realized she has double strike, so that's pretty cool. Let's say we have 3 more spots. We're still very creature low. And then it's not like we create a whole lot of tokens. I think I'm going to dump Monologue tax. And it might be a bad idea, but the Archaeomancer's map. I know I'm keeping a big, stupid 6-cost dragon, but I like them. Rid of monologue text. Did I get rid of? I got rid of 2 things here, and I don't know what the other one was. It like left my brain like immediately. Archaeomancer's map. So that gives us more room for creatures. So let's go over here and see what hilarious. Whoops, no, this one. What other people thought. Solemn Simulacrum has a weird chance of going back into the deck, but because I have 10 pieces of ramp and an 11th piece that costs less than 6 mana, even though that's 4. It's sounding kind of good. SRAM and Pure Steel Paladin, because they're like, whenever you cast an aura equipment or whenever they enter, you may draw a card, because they're like, we know you have like 10 pieces of equipment in your deck. What's the number? 5. And that's how many creatures I want to put in as well. Morog, Fury of Akum as a legitimate finisher if we're getting actually that's really good. If we're getting land flooded, that's great. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, if it's your first, if it's during your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat phase, untap all creatures you control. Oh, and creatures you control get +1/+0 for each time they've attacked this turn. There is an interesting interaction here that if it's your main phase 1, don't play a land because it kind of weirdly overwrites your regular combat phase, so you don't get it or something. That at least that's what I've seen happen on Arena. So go to combat, then play your land. Whenever you attack a player with one or more equipped creatures, draw a card. Okay. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Each creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. Get anger into our discard pile. Giving all of our stuff haste is a kind of a good idea, but I'm not too worried about it. Pure Steel Paladin and SRAM. We may as well have two of those as more ways to draw cards. Because one says enter, one says cast. One also counts vehicles and aura, but I took out the only vehicle in the deck. No, I took out one of the only vehicles in the deck, and there are no auras. Walking Atlas reminds me that Terrain Generator wouldn't be a bad card for this deck. Yeah. Because it would allow us to put one extra land into play. Thank you, Copilot, but I'm going to scroll down. Yep, combat damage. We just had to check. Oh wow, the finisher section ceased to exist. You know, I don't need the Aki Battle Squad anymore. Since I only have the one thing exploring, and who knows how much, how many of those +1/+1 counters will actually get around. So we're now back down to 98. I'm still interested mostly in creatures. Not Bruenor Battlehammer. Actually, what I'm going to look up are reconfigure creatures, because they are equipment. Lion Sash for graveyard removal. Huh. Razorfield Ripper. Not familiar with that one. Rabbit Battery gives haste. This is cheesy. You can't lose, your opponents can't win when it's equipped. No, no thanks. You know, we'll throw in this silly Rabbit Battery, mostly because I just want to be done with the deck. Have we looked at everything? Yes. I do like the equip abilities as an instant. Just in case something gets de-equipped. We go here, we go to type, 20 creatures. I'm fine with that. I kind of pulled back on the bunch of stuff that explores because I'm like, it's not necessary for everyone to explore. Just Jenny. And I'm proud of myself. I didn't name this deck 8675309 or nothing. So that's cool. And I grabbed, yep, okay. We are at 152. I do not like how this does that. So what is my Doctor Who villains deck? I'm sure it's based off the precon of the same colors. Did you get moved or not? But that'll round out this one, and we'll only have done 3 decks. Although I broke one of my own, not exactly rules, but like personal guidelines for these episodes by skipping the 2 other guild decks and going for a shard/wedge. But we have the Valeyard. 2 Grixis for a 4/5 Time Lord Noble. If an opponent would face a villainous choice, they face that choice an additional time. While voting, you may vote an additional time. Very nice. Very evil. So, what is in here? We got Cyberman Patrol. It's an anthem. Artifact creatures you control have inflict 3. That is evil. Afflict means that if they are blocked, the opponent takes the afflict damage anyway, as non-combat damage, for the record. Then we have Sycorax Commander. I have a feeling I'm not going to be changing this deck any. This is just showing off, because I have a feeling this is only using Doctor Who cards. Just a guess. First Strike, haste. It's a 4/2 for 4. Sanctified Rules of Combat. When Sycorax Commander enters the battlefield, each opponent faces a villainous choice. That opponent discards all cards in their hand, then draws that many cards -1, or Sycorax Commander deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand. Normally, I don't like making people discard because I think it's rude, but this is a choice. They can choose to discard. I did not make them discard. Just saying. They could have just taken X damage instead. Flaming... You know what? We can just do that. Flaming Tyrannosaurus. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Flaming Tyrannosaurus deals 3 damage to any target, then +1/+1 counter on Flaming Tyrannosaurus. I don't know how much casting from not our hand will be doing. It also has Menace, but that's there. Whenever Flaming Tyrannosaurus dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent, so that's cool by itself, honestly. The Flesh Duplicate. That was a messed up episode. You may have Flesh Duplicate enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except as Vanishing 3, if that creature doesn't already have Vanishing. That is interesting, that if it copies a creature with Vanishing, it'll just take the Vanishing that it had. So that other thing could have a higher amount of Vanishing when it enters. So that's mildly interesting. A cool thing, even though you would have to wait for a while, is the Flaming Tyrannosaurus. Just saying. The Master formed anew. Body Thief. When you cast the spell, you exile a creature you control and put a takeover counter on it. You may have the Master formed anew enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature card in exile with a takeover counter on it. That last part is good because it means if this guy's your commander, you could blink him and change him into what he is. Because you only exile a thing when you cast him, but when he enters the battlefield, anything you have sitting in exile, he can become a copy of, which is kind of neat. Zygon Infiltrator. He costs 3, or they cost 3, but you can also pay 3 when they're in play to tap another target creature and put a stun counter on it. Zygon Infiltrator becomes a copy of that creature for as long as that creature remains tapped. Mildly interesting. So it stays tapped for this turn and until that player's... So that player has to untap twice before... No, 3 times. Has to have 3 untap steps. That's how many untap steps this gets to stay a copy, I think. Ashad, the Lone Cyberman. The first non-legendary artifact you cast each turn has Casualty 2, which means you can sacrifice 2 power worth of creatures, one or more, to copy that spell. And then, of course, the copy is a token. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. Nanogene Conversion. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. Auton Soldier. You may have Auton Soldier enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it isn't legendary. Is an artifact into its other types, and has Myriad. That's important. The not being legendary is important because it has Myriad. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Toymaker's Trap. This is a garbage card, but I wanted it in the deck. This is the absolute waste of time and energy. At the beginning of your upkeep, secretly choose a number between 1 and 5 that hasn't been chosen. If you do, an opponent guesses which number you chose. Then you reveal the number you chose. If they guessed wrong, they lose life equal to the number they guessed, and you draw a card. If they guessed right, sacrifice the Toymaker's Trap. It's not a villainous choice. It is kind of funny, but the card is bad. Cult of Scardo. Whenever Cult of Skaro attacks, choose one at random. I think that's the names of each of the cult members. Thay. Sorry, I have to lean in close to read it because for some reason everything was really blurry. Maybe my glasses are still dirty. Oh, you know what? On that part of my glasses, it is kind of smudgy. Let's see if that improved anything. Thay, put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. Khan, draw 2 cards. Sek, create a Dalek, 3/3 artifact creature token with menace. That's either, I think that's Jast. Each opponent loses 4 life. And it's one at random, so that's neat. Not good, but neat. Davros, Dalek Creator. 3/4 with menace. At the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn. Then each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn faces a villainous choice. You draw a card, or that player discards a card. The Master, Mesmerist. Tap. Target creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the Master's power gains Skulk until end of turn. Goad it. Okay, so you do that on someone else's turn, obviously. Whenever a creature with Skulk deals combat damage to one of your opponents, put a +1/+1 counter on Master and draw a card. I'm actually a big fan of this card, if I'm being honest. The Rani. Whenever the Rani enters the battlefield or attacks, create a red aura enchantment token named Mark of the Rani attached to another target creature. That token has enchant creature and enchanted creature. It gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever a goaded creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, investigate. Truth or consequences. Each player secretly votes for truth or consequences. Then those votes are revealed. You draw cards equal to the number of truth votes. Then choose an opponent at random. Truth or conquest deals 3 damage to that player for each consequences vote. Rassilon, the War President. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life and exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. I love this guy too. I think this guy and the Master Mesmerist are like another deck. Actually, they are not, because these are neither of these are Demir. Now I gotta go up. Because that might have been a deck I already did. Guilds. Yeah, Rock the Casbah, Villainous Intent. President Warmaster. Yep, I knew it. So we have Rassilon War President as the commander, and even though he is not over here, the Master Mesmerist is over here, because honestly, you could have either one in the command zone. In fact, we're just going to go Alt Commander. There. I think Conspire over here, that I forgot to say when we were looking at the deck, at the other deck is that you can tap like 2 creatures to copy that spell. Will this explain that? As you cast the spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it, and when you do, copy it, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Which is why Errant Street Artist is in here. Like, if you go with the Master Mesmerist, you probably... Yeah, this is it. That's probably why he wasn't labeled as an alt commander, because this deck is definitely. I was looking at other things over here. This deck is definitely more centered around Rassilon. Although it's more this one than anything else. Anyway. While we're here, there we go. Yeah, has Conspire. Big fan of both of those cards. Great Intelligence's Plan. 6 mana for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards. Then target opponent faces a villain his choice. They discard 3 cards, or you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. Missy. Short for Mistress, which is just the master. I think it's Distaff counterpart? Yes. Whenever another non-artifact creature dies, return to the battlefield under your control face down and tapped. It is a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to that opponent, or you draw a card and chaos ensues. Chaos ensuing is specific only to Plane Chase, which I think there is some plane chasing in the Doctor Who Commander decks, but don't quote me on that. Cybermat. It has Skulk, which means it cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power. Whenever Cybermat attacks and isn't blocked, it gets +X/+O until a turn, where X is the number of attacking artifact creatures. Vashta Narada. Shadow, indestructible. Morbid. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Vashta Narada. Hey, who turned out the lights? I did not say that with the correct inflection, but the Flood of Mars. It has Island Walk. Water always wins. When the Flood of Mars attacks, put a flood counter on another target creature or land. If it is a creature, it becomes a copy of the Flood of Mars. If it is a land, it becomes an island in addition to its other types. I wouldn't turn other things into a copy of the Flood of Mars, but preemptively allowing this thing to be unblockable by who you're attacking is pretty good. Sontarian General. Trample and Haste. Whenever Sontarian General attacks, and at least 2 other creatures attack, for each opponent, go up to 1 target creature that player controls. Those creatures can't block this turn. Interesting. Oh, and then that's our lands, so... to our last. Oh, our last land is actually an interesting one to say because it's not a usual suspect. Trinzalore Clock Tower. You can tap it for a blue, put a time counter on Trinzalore Clock Tower, and then you can pay 1 and a blue and tap. Remove 12 time counters from Trinzalore Clock Tower and exile it. Shuffle your graveyard and hand into your library, then draw 7 cards. Activate only if you control a Time Lord, which our commander is. Propaganda to disincentivize attacking us. Renegade Silent. At the beginning of your end step, goad up to 1 target creature you don't control and put a +1/+1 counter on Renegade Silent. Renegade Silent phases out. Phasing out means it technically doesn't exist in the game. And then on your next upkeep, it'll phase back in. The Sound of Drums. It's an aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature is goaded. If enchanted creature would deal combat damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. And then you can pay its casting cost to return it from the graveyard to your hand, so you can cast it again. Then we got the Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Mind Stone, Talisman of Creativity, Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Indulgence, Thought Vessel, the Laser Screwdriver. That is the Master's version of the Sonic Screwdriver. Tap to add a mana of any color. 1 and tap to tap an artifact. 2 and tap to surveil. That's look at the top. Either put it back or put it in your graveyard. Or 3 and tap to go to creature. The Master, Gallifrey's End. Whenever a non-token artifact creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, choose an opponent with the most life among your opponents. That player faces a villainous choice. They lose 4 life, or you create a token that's a copy of that card. Interesting. Doomsday Confluence. Double X in black. Choose X. You may choose the same mode more than once. Each player sacrifices a non-artifact creature. Created 3/3 Dalek with Menace. Each opponent discards a card. Of course, I wouldn't do that last one, ever. I would just make them sacrifice stuff or create Daleks. Cyber Conversion. Turn target creature face down. It's a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Boy, that is a card I really need to remember exists more when I'm making decks with blue and only one other color in it. Because that is, it's not the best removal. But that can really mess someone up. Because it's instant speed. It takes away all of their other abilities, because those are on the bottom side that don't matter no more. Sure, they can block with it and have it die if it's their commander. But, it really puts them in a dead zone if they can't turn it face up. Delete. Delete deals X damage to each non-artifact creature and each player. Oh, geez. That gets rid of a lot of our own stuff, but it's funny. Don't blink. Until end of turn, if one or more creatures would enter the battlefield from exile, or after being cast from exile, the owner will shuffle them into their library instead. That is very niche. It is in here because it's the Weeping Angels. Feed the Swarm. Destroy target creature enchantment and opponent controls. You lose life equal to its mana value. Chaos Warp. Owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library and then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent, they put it on the battlefield. Exterminate. Prepare to be deleted. I can't do the Cyberman voice at all. Exterminate is a lot easier, and that's still not perfect. Replicate. Tap and untap Dalek you control. When you cast a spell, copy it for each time you paid the replicate cost. You may choose new targets for the copies. Oh, that is way better than I thought it was. Did I make it? No, that might be it. That might be in typo. Although I don't know why it would be, but I will check. And I don't know why I would actually make that deck. Not for the show. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep. Because I was thinking a Dalek's deck. I'll look into that after the episode. It's probably something that I would just show off and be like, and then I would probably put cards outside of. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, Dalek is a creature type. And now I gotta figure out where I was. I was in removal. There it is. Exterminate. So Dalek is a creature type, I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, destroy target creature, it controls loses 3 life. I know this is just one card, and anyway. Flatline. Creatures your opponents control have base power and toughness 0-1 until end of turn. I love cards like this. Black has sudden spoiling. I believe it's black, and it's basically the same thing. But I think sudden spoiling also removes abilities. I don't remember. It's great, though. Weeping Angel. Flash, First Strike, Vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, Weeping Angel isn't a creature until end of turn, because assuming the new creature is looking at them. If Weeping Angel would deal combat damage to a player, prevent that damage, and that if we do damage to a creature, prevent that damage, and that creature's owner shuffles into their library. Boy, that's a lore thing that I would have to explain. When Weeping Angels touch someone, they either just murk them right away, or they eat their temporal possibilities or something and throw them back in time. It is, I don't think I could explain it well, off the top of my head. It is very weird. Blink. It is a saga. Chapter 1. Choose target creature. Its owner shuffles it into their library, then investigates. That's also Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Nope, that's Chapter 3. It's Chapter 1 and 3. Wild. Chapter 2. Create a 2/2 black alien angel artifact creature token with first strike, vigilance, and whenever an opponent casts a spell, this creature isn't this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. So that's chapters 2 and 4. So you hop between the two. I think that's kind of like a Blinky thing, I guess. Midnight Crusader Shuttle. Whenever Midnight Crusader Shuttle attacks, defending player faces a villainous choice. That player sacrifices a creature, or you gain control of a creature of your choice and that player controls until end of turn. If you gain control of a creature this way, tap it and it's attacking that player. Snuff Out. Oh no, the Solemn Simulacrums are attacking us because they don't want to die to draw a card. If you control a swamp, you may pay 4 life rather than pay the spell's mana cost. To destroy target non-black creature, it can't be regenerated. This is how it ends. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library, then faces villainous choice. They lose 5 life, or they shuffle another creature they own into their library. Dalek Drone. Oh, I just heard my phone. That it was just a message. Flying Menace. Exterminate. When Dalek Drone enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. That player loses 5 life. Oh my, that is definitely worth 5 mana. Time Reaper. Flying Haste. Whenever Time Reaper deals combat damage to a player, put target face-up card they own in exile to the bottom of their library. If you do, you gain 3 life. That is an interesting niche card, because if they have a creature on an adventure, this messes with that. But it also messes with cards on suspend, which I think was the intended use, because this is because there were suspend cards in Doctor Who. What else goes into exile and kind of stays there and can come back? There are like pseudo suspend cards that have like egg counters, I think. Like there's a dragon, I think. Hunted by the Family. Choose up to 4 target creatures you don't control. For each of them, that creature's controller faces a villainous choice. That creature becomes a 1/1 white human creature creature and loses all ability, or you create a copy of it. A token copy. Interesting. Blasphemous Act. Not a big fan of casting this one. But because I don't like symmetrical board wipes. What can I say? But sometimes you gotta blow everything up when you're the villain. The Beast, Deathless Prince. When you cast this spell, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it. It gains menace and haste until end of turn. You know I don't like borrowing. I don't even like borrowing stuff when it comes to theft. The Beast enters the battlefield tapped with 6 stun counters on it. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to its owner, untap the Beast and draw a card. But it'll still have several stun counters on it. For the next time it becomes tapped. And as far as I could tell, this deck wasn't giving anything vigilance. I'm messing with how I'm sitting, don't mind me. Oh, I'm going to move this over here to remind me to do that later. Dalek Squadron. Menace Myriad. Nice. The Cyber Controller. When the Cyber Controller enters the battlefield, each opponent mills X cards, so I would pay 0 into X. Just saying. So this is just a 3/3 for 3 that gives other artifact creatures you control +1/+1. Put all creature cards milled this way into the battlefield face down under control of their Cybermen. I think I tried to make a Cyberman deck with Missy as the head of it, but like there really just wasn't enough. Death in Heaven. The first 2 chapters are target player mills 2 cards and exile their graveyard. Not a fan of playing that, but it has a Cyberman on it. That's just why it's here. Put all creature cards exiled with Death of Heaven in the battlefield face down under your control. Oh wow, that's all cards. Oh, all creature cards. Okay, wow. Let's improve our reading comprehension. And they're Cybermen. The Cyber Ship. Flying. When the Cyber Ship deals combat damage to a player, put the top 2 cards of that player's library into the battlefield face down under control of their Cybermen. Okay. Genesis of the Daleks. First 3 chapters are create a Dalek for the number of lore counters on Genesis of the Daleks. And then the 4th chapter is target opponent faces a villainous choice. Destroy all Dalek creatures and each opponent loses life equal to the total power of Daleks that died this turn. Good lord. Or destroy all non-Dalek creatures. The Master multiplied. Myriad. The legend rule doesn't apply to creature tokens you control. Triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile creature tokens you control. This guy's also pretty cool. He might have also gotten a deck, who knows. I'm not looking again, I'm not that curious. Non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. Neat. Frost Fair Lure Fish. When Frost Fair Lure Fish enters the battlefield, you get 2 blue 1/1 fish and 2 tap treasures. Fish you control have haste and can't be blocked by humans, and you can also foretell this so you can cast it a little bit sooner. The Dalek Emperor. Affinity for Daleks. Other Daleks you control have haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player sacrifices a creature they control, or you create a 3/3 Dalek token with Menace. That'll have haste, for the record. And then we're back to the Valeyard. Like, this is one... Wow, look at all that removal. How many of these is Mass Disruption? This can count as Mass Disruption. Hold on, I'm just recategorizing. Whoops. Mass Disruption. And it didn't move. That is a thing that happens sometimes. Go to Mass Disruption. Mass Disruption. Delete is certainly Mass Disruption. Exterminate has the possibility of being Mass Disruption. That is not Mass Disruption. That is just 2 things from one guy. Oh, Genesis of the Daleks can be Mass Disruption. Is there anything else down here? Don't blink, feed the swarm, chaos warp, flatline. Yes, that definitely disrupts them. don't know if Hunted by the Family counts, since it's like capped at 4. Which means that you'd be picking on, like, even if you tried to be fair, you're, if you want full value, you'd be picking on someone over the other two. Mildly interesting. I guess that is mass disruption by other things I've called mass disruption. So 7 pieces of mass disruption, 7 pieces of regular removal. Even just using Doctor Who cards, how many of these were from the deck, and how many of these? Well, I guess no, there weren't. No, there weren't any. There wasn't a set on top of this. See, now here's the question. Is this just the one deck? Was this just the Doctor Who villain deck copy and pasted onto Archidect? Yeah, that's literally my deck. Oh, nope, someone else made it. And they put Davros at the beginning. Oh, Vizlor Turo's in their version. Oh, and the Clockwork Droid. And Lightning Greaves is in their version. Oh, Day of the Moon. Okay, so I have done things slightly different than this one. I'll see who that is after I'm done with this. Here's the Precon deck list on Moxfield. So it's Davros. And this is what I was talking about, that you can go by subtype, but I'm going to go by type. $30 creatures. Let's see. I don't have the Clockwork Droid in mine. I believe I don't have the Solemn in mine. Which, considering the colors, this one probably would have benefited from. Yep, and I don't have Vizlor. How many creatures do I have in mind? I do have 30 creatures. So that's mildly interesting. 8 sorceries to my 9. Let's see. Oh, I have the Lurefish and the Flaming Tyrannosaurus. seeing what's different. And the flesh duplicate, because I don't have 1, 2, 3. So that's what I did. I traded out those 3 for a different 3. They have 8 sorceries: Doomsday, Delete, Feed, Exterminate, Blasphemous Act, Hunted by the Family, Great Intelligence Plan, Ensnared by the Mara. I do not have that. Oh, even though it's a villainous choice card, I left it out because it was mill into exile for both choices, and one of them had me steal, and I wasn't into that. And then, what are mine? So I have Nanogene Conversion and Truth or Consequences as my 2 that are different. Because 1 additional and replacing Ensnared by the Mara. They have 4 instants, and I have 6. I assume Chaos Warp. Is it going to be Chaos Warp and Flatline? Yep. Because Cyber Conversion, Don't Blink, Snuff Out, and This Is How It Ends are right there. They have 12 artifacts. I only have 10. Soul Ring. I traded out Wayfarer's Bauble. Lightning Greaves, I think I still have. I think I traded out Lightning Greaves as well because that had the Doctor on it. Yep. That's the Doctor's feat. Thought Vessel. Thought Vessel made it in. And then the 1 talisman that had the Doctor on it, I left in because, you know, I figured mana fixing was more important. Let's see. Oh, and I don't have Commander Sphere. But I have everything else. Yep. 8 enchantments. Oh, I definitely don't have all of those. 7 to there. 8. Day of the Moon. I do not have that. Propaganda. Sound of Drums. I have that. Toymaker's Trap. I have that. Blink. I have that. Death in Heaven. Genesis of the Dalek. Wound Reflection. So, Day of the Moon. I do not have that. Choose a creature card name, then goad all creatures with a name chosen by Day of the Moon. That is... yeah, I thought that was just bad, if I'm being honest. And then my lands are probably very different because the Trinzalorp Clock Tower. Yep, that wasn't in it. And they have like stuff like the Thriving. My land base is probably incredibly better. In fact, I'm probably missing more of these, like the Gallifrey Council Chamber. Well, that's good to know how mine is different from the Precon. Was that like a 10 in, 10 out situation just about? That's kind of funny. I don't think it was exactly 10 in, 10 out. But, no, that was cool. So next time, more Doctor Who, and looks like we'll actually talk about the Doctors. Although, actually, we can go a little longer. Dalek. Because I'm just curious to see if this this deck is viable. Or Dalek. And because it amuses me greatly, I'm not going to stick to just okay. The Dalek creator, whoops, has to be the commander. So that actually isn't a whole lot, if we're being honest. Let's see how many things we can get that, black marking connections. That can pretend to be like no matter how much rat garbage it is. Did I put anything that wasn't, well, besides that? I don't know if Orvar ability will actually get to do anything, but you know, whatever. That's 30 creatures. I do not need all 30 of those. So I'll probably be vetting them. So let's vet them. Or maybe not. Or maybe we just leave all of these garbage changelings in here. You know, let's not even read these. 30 garbage. Like 20. What was it? Hold on. How many Daleks were in here? One, two, three, four. 26 garbage changelings and 6 Daleks. All just because of Exterminate. And Genesis the Daleks. We can't forget creature type. Maybe I will vet some of them. There's the Adaptive Automaton. Other creature of the chosen type get +1/+1. Sure, why not? That's one garbage changeling that's going to go away. Belb's Portal wasn't 5 mana by itself. I don't know how I skipped Bloodline Pretender. Cavern of Souls. Even though I don't personally play in groups that counterspell stuff. Oh, by the way, I think this deck is bracket 1 just from the creatures. Collective Inferno? Oh, double all damage that a source you control of the chosen type would deal? Sure, why not? Cover of Darkness. They will all have Fear. Oh, hey, Crippling Fear. That's a great piece of mass disruption. Oh, Drowner's Crusade. If there was a version of Commander where I could have an enchantment as my commander, I would love a Goblin Zombie deck. The only problem is that I'd want to update this. Actually, no. Because the goblins would benefit from the zombie cards, but the zombie cards wouldn't benefit from the goblin cards. And there's probably cheaper ways to do that. I just like Drowner's Crusade on principle, and I know that it's older than Dominaria. Goes back to Plane Shift. Oh, Haunting Voyage to get back all of my garbage creatures. I don't think we're going to Herald's Horn or the other ones. Oh, Kindred Charge. Kindred Discovery. And Kindred Dominance. Why not? Metallic Mimic. That'll take out another garbage creature. Mana Echoes. Wait, no, not that one. I want Molten Echoes. That's where you get a temporary one. There it is. Ancestry while we're here. I think we'll Pyre of Heroes to turn our terrible changelings into better changelings. Reflections of Litjara. That's what I was thinking of. Also raise the Palisade to return all non Daleks to their owner's hand. Roaming Throne. I mean, actually, custom art those stupid chairs that they sit in that are basically high tech, fancy future wheelchairs. Oh, shared animosity. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. Three Tree City. I should put this in the courtyard, and there's another one I probably should, just because this is a triple color deck. Nope, I grabbed them all. You know, I do like Secret Tunnel because we can make two of our Daleks unblockable, and that does in fact amuse me. Yes, we have. But now I can go grid, and also not now. Course drag isn't supported here. That's not what I was trying to do. This. Wait, is there not foil printing of that? Nope, just this. Okay. Heroes, all printings. Okay. Changing Outcast can't be blocked. And can't block. We're fine with that. We can tap something else to give this thing flying. That is absolute rat garbage, so we can remove that. This thing doesn't even have an ability, but since it doesn't pretend to have an ability and in fact has a oh, this can take away creature types. That's dumb. This thing has limited fire breathing. Honestly, these low ones are actually really bad. This has flash. That's fine. This I like because it says target shapeshifter becomes a copy of target creature until your next turn, so it can turn one of our changelings into something better. I'm fine with that. Metallic Mimic I'm of course fine with because it puts +1/+1 counters on our other creatures. Skeletal Changeling, it can regenerate. That's fine. We're getting rid of it. Oh, this can filter mana. We're gonna change its printing though to the original Boomborough printing. Yes, It filters mana. We're in a 3-color deck. I'm actually fine with that. I just want to get rid of the foil printing. Would you pay $10 for this art? No? Well, that's the version we're going to use. I don't know. It just looks Hoovian. Barkform Harvester can put cards from our graveyard in the bottom of our library for what it's worth. I'm fine with that. Bloodline Pretender gets bigger when other creatures of the type enter. Changeling Wayfinder. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land, put it in your hand. That doesn't put it into play, but it, that's fine. Dalek. Ghostly Changeling. It has bad fire breathing, but better fire breathing than that other one. This has worse fire breathing, but it flies. This thing can give itself death touch, so I'm fine with that. This thing gives decent impulsive draw because it gives you until the end of your next turn. When it exiles the top card of your library when it dies, so that's fine. Torian Mauler gets bigger when opponent casts spells. This has death touch, that's cool. Changeling Berserker champions a creature. When this creature comes into play, sacrifice it unless you remove another creature you control from the game. When this creature leaves play, that comes back to play. So we can either champion one of our bad changelings or a token that we don't care about. So that's fine. Cultiscaro. Graveshifter, that puts a creature card from our graveyard into our hand. I was thinking about changing it to the old one, but whatever. Linjara Kinseekers. When it enters, if you control 3 or more creatures that share a creature type, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. It is. Oh, and then you scry 1. This is still kind of not great, but better than anything else. I think we're going to get rid of Orvar because it doesn't really do anything. Roaming Throne, that doubles our Dalek triggers. This thing can swap its power and toughness, that's fine. To either be a good blocker or a good attacker, even though it doesn't have trample or anything. It all depends on if you want to block something with 3 power or kill something with 4 toughness. This can give itself first strike, that's not great, but better than nothing. As long as a creature card with flying is in a graveyard, this has flying. Same goes for first strike, fear, double strike, death touch, haste, land walk, lifelink, protection, reach, trample, shroud, and vigilance. So this is either neat or awful. Let's see. From our own stuff, it can have death touch, flying, I'm just double checking. Death touch, flying, reach, death touch, flying, and reach. Assuming those cards are in our graveyard. Omni Changeling, Convoke. You may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it has Changeling. Oh, that's neat. So this changes the shapeshifter, but it doesn't keep the shapeshifter won't keep Changeling, so we would want to only copy our non-legendary Daleks. Like this one that has Myriad. or even just the Taurian Mauler, depending on, you know, or the Roaming Throne. Oh wait, no, this won't work because there's no trigger to choose a type. But you know, any of those things that work. Enters, exile up to 2 cards from graveyard. You gain 3 life. That's fine, even though it costs 5. And then that puts us down to 29 creatures. We could probably lose a few more creatures if we wanted to, but I'm fine with that. There we go. These are... No, not all of these are even new. They're just so garbage that they never got put anywhere. I don't know where to put them, so I'm not going to worry about it. So we're going to go by type. 29 creatures, 8 enchantments. I don't think there's anything else. I'm just looking at what we do. Okay, we want removal. I like how we're over 3 hours, and I'm only on my third. No, we're on our 4th deck, but that's because I spontaneously wanted to build something stupid. So let's see. Oops, no. Let's go to categories. Totally Daleks. There. The thing about was it Collective Inferno? Is that it doesn't affect the Dalek damage? Because if I find him, the squadron. That is not ramp. That's fixing. Why can I not save category? Super helpful. Well, it's not ramp. just seeing if it... Okay, so it moved itself. There, jeez. I don't know what that nonsense was about, but it's not ramp. Really? This is... This... Just having flying does... I mean, I guess that is evasion, but that's still ridiculous. But where's that other... Yeah, loses 3 life. It doesn't, because that's more of a finisher since they go away. Separate my removal. See, this is a copy. And this is actually kind of draw. It only draws 1 card and it only draws land, but it gets us a land from our deck. Five pieces of mass disruption without even trying. Let's get the rest of our land, though. Command tower. I know we could copy that other one. In fact, we probably should just copy that other one. Hold on. And then we can just fix the stuff that's a copy. Copy card names. Do not have well, I left the thriving ones in the other deck. That's mildly interesting. Really? Thespian Stave was in the deck? Well, we're taking out Thespian Stage, because I'm... We'll leave in Rogue's Passage. We'll leave in the Hobbit lands for now. I'm not going to mess with that. Oh, Gallifrey Council Chamber. We don't have any Time Lords or Aelins, so we're going to have to fix that. Oh, I see. The other deck only used Doctor Who lands. It looks like that explains a lot. So maybe we improve our land base with the shock lands. Or, you know, we're just going to put in Xander's Lounge, because that's at least a tri-land. I forgot that this was in the Doctor Who sets. There it is. Let's get picky with our lands real quick. I don't think this was in Doctor Who. Cavern of Souls is a more expensive card than I remembered it being, if I'm being quite honest. I guess it's because that can't be countered text that's on it. Wildly funny that there are versions that are more expensive than the Zendikar. Dang, this one's pretty cool. My heart wants to go with the Jurassic Park one, so that's where I'm going with. Oh, there it is. It didn't get full art, so it threw me off. was off by a set. There we go. I know if I looked, I'd be happy. Is this from? Oh, that's Secrets of Strixhaven. Wow, they have nice full arts in Secrets. Want to pay $30 for 3 lands? I actually just really want these vector ones. Tempting to go with the Transformers ones for no specific reason. Oh, because they beat up all other robots. That actually is. They are robot racist. SPG, I actually don't. Oh, that's the special gaming night or something like that. I vaguely recognize this. But it's not really. Well, technically, none of these are good for it. So we'll just go $3 to include a courtyard from Neon Dynasty. Secret tunnel. I probably put too many syllables in it. Just have to remember what orders sets came in. free real estate. There we go. $37 lands. That way, I wanted to make sure I knew. Okay, why is it a bracket 4? What did I put in here? Oh, I have a 2-card infinite combo because of Molten Echoes and Changeling Berserker. Okay. Let's see if I can figure it out. Oh, I see. So with Molten Echoes in play, let's go and read Molten Echoes. Let's find them. I think it's up here in copy. As Molten Echoes enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. When a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. That token gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. How is that an infinite combo? Because when this thing enters, we champion a creature. What does this do? Cast Changeling Berserker by paying its mana cost. When Changeling Berserker enters the battlefield, its champion ability and Molten Echoes triggers. Resolve the Molten Echoes trigger, creating a token copy of Changeling Berserker with haste. When the Changeling Berserker token enters the battlefield, its champion ability triggers, exiling the non-token Changeling Berserker until the Changeling Berserker leaves the battlefield. Resolve the champion ability from Step 2, exiling the token Changeling Berserker. The token Changeling Berserker leaves the battlefield, returning the non-token Changeling Berserker to the battlefield. Repeat from Step 2. Infinite ETB and LTB. You are out of your mind. I do not believe I have any ETBs. In fact, I wasn't smart enough to figure that out until I looked it up to have it spelled out. The only that other thing that would have put mana into my mana pool is the only thing I would have said yeah, because I don't think anything here cares about the entering or leaves of my other creatures. Wait. The Kindred Discovery. I can draw infinite cards. You'll pardon me if I still consider this bracket 1. Just because most of the cards are rat absolute garbage. And honestly, to justify that, I would just say, so there's technically an infinite combo in here, but I'm not going to do it because it's dumb. It's a 2-card infinite, Molten Echoes, Changeling Berserker. I only have one card that cares about ETB triggers. And that's Kindred Discovery. At least as far as I know. Because I've read all these other cards, I don't think anything else cared. Yeah, so I'll just say I won't do that. I won't do the one infinite combo because it's dumb and would just allow me to draw a bunch of cards. And even then, it's not a 3-card infinite, or not a 2-card infinite combo, because it needs that 3rd card out. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't need any more creatures. I think removal is on the table still. Because I have 5 pieces of mass disruption. And where's my removal? Do I even have a removal section anymore? There we go. 2 creatures with death, 1 creature with death touch, 1 creature that can have death touch, and a creature that destroys creatures when it attacks. Checking my messages really quick. Okay, almost lost track of what window I was in. We could have one more. Oh, actually, we can put several more mass disruptions in here, which I probably will. In fact, mass disruption seems to be the order of the day for this kind of deck. Mizzium Mortars, I like that one. Delayed Blast Fireball is fun. Aetherize. Aether Spouts with massive typos. You know what? Vandal Blast. And Shattering Spree while we're here. Destroy other... that sounds like stuff Daleks would do. Destroy everyone else's artifacts. And selectively destroying everyone else's artifacts. Ridiculous amount of mass disruption. What are we at? 89. Oh, I need to put it on a ramp. Our single. Oh, whoops! Delayed Blast Fireball goes over there too. Did I accidentally move something over here that didn't go over here? Doomsday, Shattering, Vandal Blast, Mizzium, Delayed, Exterminate, Aetherize, Crippling Fear, Aether Spouts, Raise the Palisade, and Kindred Dominance. Nope, that's all correct. We are missing like single target removal, which is hilarious. But that does feel on brand for the Daleks. Go big or go home. That is not evasion. Well, no, I'm wrong. Any flying creature can go into evasion, I suppose. As sort of any creature with trample. Especially if it has Death Touch and Trample at the same time. Soul Ring. Because that is in the Doctor Who set. MV equals 2 T art minus T creature. Oh, add space after add, so it doesn't use the word additional. Arcane Signet from Secrets of Strixhaven. I don't think we're going to put any of the diamond. Demir Signet. We might come back. Felwar Stone. We are playing 3 colors. That's not a bad. That's not a bad bet. Is it Signet? Mind Stone. Iron Crag, Soul Stone, Thought Vessel, Talisman, Talisman, Talisman. Signet. What did? Actually, that put us over somehow. Where are you, ramp section? 13 pieces of ramp. Okay. Well, obviously, Iron Crag. Mostly because that thing annoys me on Arena every time it's like, do you want to transform this? No, I don't want to transform this. Mind Stone. Oh, no, Felwar Stone. That is the one that we will get rid of. There. We're doing 11 pieces of ramp just to finish off the decks. Exterminate. Exterminate. Hold on. Exterminate. Yep, that's how they pronounce it. They say Nate. Exterminate. Anyway. You gotta put in the correct versions. Signets, of course, do not exist in Doctor Who, so we're just going to choose something cool looking. Or the original printing, because I don't want to put in the $24 versions. And that's the only reason why that got to stay over over Felwar Stone, is because it was in the Doctor Who decks. Well, he's ugly enough to be a Dalek. Holy moly, look how much the alternates are. Just a foil one. Print out the Terminus of Return and use that. Jeez. we go. And that's that one. Oh, and I should probably... copy this over before I forget. And copy this. This deck is bad and dumb, but it has a dream. It has a dream to cast Exterminate and tap a bunch of terrible creatures to copy it several times. It has a second dream. I think it's in the tokens section. A second dream to make people really wonder which villainous choice they want. Do they want to destroy all of my Daleks that are all terrible creatures? Or do they want all of their creatures that are not Daleks to die? Even if it will take 4 turns for that to happen, and this is an easily destroyed enchantment. Anyway, next week is Idris and River Song. In case you didn't know who says spoilers. Idris is the soul of the TARDIS. And then I'll probably jump around with the different doctors, different doctor decks. So, see you next time.